and I want to welcome you, Laureen, to the show.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm honored to be on your show. Thank you.
So Laureen, you're actually officially a Hollywood star, which is kind of nice for me to have on my show. So I want to thank you for being here. And we start off my show in a stupid way, just to break the ice.
Okay.
Kind of like Canadians normally do, right?
Yeah.
So, Laureen, if you could only eat one sandwich for the rest of your life, just one specific type of sandwich, what one would you choose?
A manwich.
Really?
Yeah, a manwich.
That's a
no meatball.
I didn't get the joke to begin with.
Never mind. It's a bad joke.
I got it.
I'm saying. I would probably have a meatball sandwich with mozzarella cheese. How about you?
It would be exactly that. Specifically, the meatballs from there's a restaurant in Canada called Mr. Sub, and they have really good meatball sauce. And I'd have that with all 4 types of cheese that they carry.
Oh, yeah.
And it would be horribly bad for me, but delicious.
What cheese is mozzarella and what else?
There's mozzarella. They have cheddar. They have processed, we don't know what it is, cheese. and they've got grated cheese. So it would be all 4 just piled on the meatballs with extra meatball sauce. It would be fantastic, to be honest. So let's talk about you, though. You have been in Hollywood for years and years and years. And in fact, you helped co-write a book back in 2007, from what I was reading, about your journeys through Hollywood and the 80s specifically. I can't remember the title now, but spandex and something, right?
No.
No, you did something, and it's in your bio on IMDb. Maybe I'm crazy.
I know the Hostess Twinkies. Is that what you're talking about? The Hostess Twinkies?
Maybe. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Let's move on to something else. In the 80s, you were in the wrestling movie. The wrestling movie with the 2. I have a question about that. I'm a wrestling fan.
Oh, okay.
Did you actually have to learn? Did you have to actually learn how to wrestle properly?
Well, can you hear me, by the way?
Yeah, I'm okay. Are you able to hear me okay?
Unfortunately, yes. I'm kidding. I'm a sardonic wiseacre, believe me. Well, what we had to do was they saw 2,000 women. Robert Aldrich, the great, I consider one of the 3 greatest directors of all time. He saw over 2,000 women for these 2 roles. And what happened was they at first tried to use wrestlers and teach them to act, and that didn't work. So they went the other route and got actors and tried to teach them how to wrestle. So we went to wrestling school. They narrowed it down from 2,000 to 12 of us. Kathleen Turner was one of them, and so was Peter Falk's wife. And from the 12, they narrowed it down to 4, and they screen tested us. And that was terrifying. First of all, I didn't know who Robert Aldrich was at the time. The only reason I met him was because I was in Las Vegas for a modeling tournament, Miss Black Velvet, that I didn't get, but I didn't deserve it. The other girl got it, but I got close. But the serendipity of it was, or fate, or I call it God, was that I was able to meet Reuben Cannon. They sent me to meet a casting director down here in Los Angeles. And so I met Reuben Cannon, and he introduced me to Robert Aldrich. And when I met him, I didn't know who he was. I just said, I only heard of one other person. And I just said, it's really nice to meet you, Mr. Altman. And his son said, my father's name is Robert Aldrich, not Robert Altman. And I said, no, there's only one famous director, and that's Robert Altman. You're Robert Altman. I didn't know. You know, I was 18, 19 years old. So I didn't really do my research. And he thought it was really funny. So they screen tested us ultimately. And from the 4 of us screen testing, we had to go to this through this arduous wrestling regiment for 9 months, but the actors' strike hit. So when the actors' strike hit, we weren't allowed to wrestle, but Vicky Frederick, the other young lady, and myself um, were tenacious, and we decided we were going to go and wrestle anyways against the Screen Actor Guild rules. So we did that, and I'm sure that's probably the reason I got in it at the end. So it was a fabulous time in my life, the 80s. Yeah, it was my favorite time, and for music, for everything.
So on that note, most people don't know about a lot about the Screen Actors Guild and stuff. Was there backlash because you went against them at that time, or how does that work?
Well, nobody really knew that we were training because we did it serendipitously and surreptitiously. Nobody knew what we were doing. We would just go, and the trainers would show up, and they wanted to wrestle anyway, and they were there wrestling anyways all the time in the gym. So they told us, Vicky Frederick and myself, to just come to the gym. And so we did it 5 times a week. We just kept plugging away, making up new moves. And ultimately, it paid off.
That's awesome. You know, it's good to talk to somebody like you because I can tell the genuineness behind you. Over the years, acting in the 80s got a bad rap, right? Sometimes it was considered very sexualized. And let's face it, some of your roles were you're a very good looking woman. So how do you feel about the 80s and what happened back then? Was it just a product of the culture at the time, or
that's a good analogy. It was a product of the culture, and they had Conan the Barbarian, and I did Hundra. I played a female Conan, and I went up for Red Sonja. But when I met Arnold Schwarzenegger and Dino De Laurentiis, they saw me, they met me, and they said that they hadn't seen my movie yet. But I blurted out like an idiot that I had just done a film called Hundra, because they asked if I was athletic and if I knew how to do sword fighting moves, or could I learn to do that. And I stupidly said, yeah, I just did this movie called Hundra. And then Arnold Schwarzenegger said to me, oh my God, are you the one that did Hundra? Hundra, that's you coming out. And I said, yeah. And that was the end of the meeting. They didn't want to have anything to do with me because he says, you ripped off my movie. So yeah, as far as sex exploitation, yeah, I did a couple of movies like that. And hey, I didn't mind doing it because it's not that it paid so well, it did, but I was able to do 2 things. I was able to do my own stunts in these movies because I am a stunt woman, and I'm a stunt woman to this day. But I got to travel to countries such as Spain, and Spain and Israel for America 3000, and I went to Switzerland and France. I got to go all over the world, and I would have never had an opportunity to do stunts and also have the ability to travel like I did. And I never would travel first class. I would sit in the back of the airplane with Peter Falk when we did all the marbles, because I would say I was terrified to fly. So was Peter Falk. So I would say they would say, why don't you sit in the front? Why don't you sit in the front in first class? And I'd say, oh no, I'm sitting in the back because planes don't back into mountains. So, or I would, or I would say, I want to sit in the little black box. So that's those were the perks, and I loved traveling, even though albeit I was terrified of flying, but I was able to do, like I said, those 2 things: do my own stunts in movies, and also to go to places most people would never be able to go to, especially me. So, yeah.
So you brought up airplanes several times. We got to go there, right?
And you will. Fine. Yeah.
Do you want to?
Sure.
How was it in Airplane 2? What was the atmosphere of that movie like? Because from the outside, it looks ridiculous, right?
It was preposterous. We filmed it on the Paramount lot, and I got it after I did, let's see, All the Marbles, I the Jury, and then Airplane 2, yeah. So we filmed it on the Paramount lot, and it was an ensemble cast, so everybody was in it. And they shot enough footage in that movie for probably 3 feature films. I was in it a lot more than when I saw it. I only saw it one time. But because so many people were in it, so many great actors were in it, that the whole freaking town was in it. What can I say?
That's true. I do have a question about that. Do you feel that there should be an extended version of it that's like 5 hours long?
Boy, that's a really good question. You know what?
Right? Because if they've got the footage, why not?
I think people at this point in life need to see comedies, more comedies, because of what's going on in the world. Yeah, so I think that would be a really great idea. I don't know why they didn't shoot a 3rd one, but I think a 5-hour version would be fabulous. I know they have enough footage to shoot another movie or 2 for sure.
You know, with the comedy that was back in the 80s, though, you talk about today and everything that's going on with the world. Do you think it would translate to today, or would it just be seen as something nostalgic and Hollywood be able to get away with it?
Well, I think from the perspective of flying, people are afraid to fly right now, and they have been obviously for some time. But I don't know. I don't know how people would feel about. I don't know. I just know everybody I know doesn't want to fly. I would fly because I think this whole thing is nonsense. This whole COVID-19 thing is nonsense. But that's me.
We won't get too political because we know that it goes crazy if we do, right?
Right. And nobody will ever speak to me again if you wanted to hear what I really think. So we better not go there.
So I have a controversy for you, and you probably don't even know about it because most Hollywood people don't pay attention. But your Internet Movie Database says that you're 5'10", and then just below it, it says you're 5'9". Which is it?
Sometimes I'm 5'10", and sometimes I'm 6'2" when I wear high heels.
Huh? That's fair.
I'm sometimes I'm 5'9", and sometimes I've been measured at 5'10". But the last couple of times I've been to the doctors, like I was telling you the other day, I was at the hospital for a little procedure.
Yep.
It was a stress test, a heart stress test, really. But they did measure me, and I was 5'9.5". And I said to the lady, she asked me if I was a model, and I said no, I'm a Model T. But I was 5'9.5", and I said to them, because I was making jokes with them the whole time. They were doing this stress test and this nuclear scan isotope test, blah blah. And I said to them, it's funny, at my age, all my friends in my contact list or in my address book end in MD.
I understand completely. Holy cow. Lorene,
they got it.
I got it too. It just took me a second. Little Saskatchewan brain. What can I say? Lorene,
I love your accent. It's wonderful.
Well, when you live in the middle of nowhere, you talk like a weirdo. It works.
You don't talk like a weirdo. I love your accent. It's wonderful.
When you talked about it's Hundra, correct? I apologize, I don't have it in front of me. The warrior stuff. Learning how to do sword fighting, learning how to do that stuff. Did that come naturally to you? I mean, you're a very athletic woman. Was it fairly natural to understand how to actually?
Yeah, something. It was too natural. I had done sports all my life. Yeah, in school, and basketball, baseball, except tennis. I was terrible in tennis, but in basketball and baseball, I excelled in all sports. So sword fighting, jumping horses, riding horses, all of that was not only easy for me, but I loved it. I lived for it. That's all I wanted to do. I didn't care. I honestly didn't care about the movies. All I wanted to do were the stunts and jumping off of horses onto buildings and wrestling in the wrestling movie that I did. Yeah, there was a lot of acting involved, but I couldn't wait to get to all these stunts. And you say you like wrestling. Tell me what kind of wrestling you like.
Well, I'm an 80s kid. I'm only 35 years old. I know I look like I'm 70, but
you don't look like you're 70. You look like you're 80. Anyway.
Okay, fair enough. But I grew up in the 80s. 84 is when I was born. So I literally was like 5 when you started your younger when you were starting your career. But I grew up with the Hogan era, the Ric Flair era, that type of stuff. So WWE, WF at the time, that type of stuff. And the larger than life personalities, not what we have right now. And I think that's missing from everywhere. I think that's missing from Hollywood, even, where the larger than life personalities are the rock stars of the industry that were just, people were crazy, right? I know they're still crazy, but now it's behind closed doors.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That still goes on. Oh yeah. That still goes on in Hollywood. Well, I could tell you some stories. I wasn't there, but I know some very close friends that were, and still are, especially now in this quarantine period.
Yeah, I bet. So when we talk about wrestling, when we talk about movies, what's your favorite movie that you ever starred in? I know that's a weird question because they're like little babies to a lot of actors, right? But what's your favorite one?
The favorite movie that I ever did?
Yeah.
Probably Sky. Sky is now on Netflix, and I got a fabulous review from the Hollywood Reporter. The Hollywood Reporter said that my performance was so outstanding that you wish the entire movie was about Lorraine Landon. And I was stunned, to be honest with you. And it stars Diane Kruger and Norman Reedus. And Diane Kruger's on a road trip with her husband, and she accidentally kills him because he's trying to rape her. So she kills him. So you think. Anyway, she's on the run. She ends up in Vegas, and she meets me. I'm a Las Vegas bunny girl on the Strip named Charlene, and I have 2 Elvis impersonators on either side of me. And she's tragic, and she's irreverent, and she's not. She's lost her mind because, let's face it, she's on the Las Vegas Strip trying to make a buck or two. But I went into a lot of detail into the character. I tried as much as I could to make her a 3-dimensional character, and I came up with all kinds of crazy ideas and improvisation. That's what I love about the movies that I do now. I do a lot of improvisation, and the directors have not said, no, you cannot do that. And I always I try and include dogs in my movie somehow to rescue dogs, because I rescue pit bulls, for a long time, and cats, but mostly pit bulls.
That makes sense. I've always wanted to pit bulls are, people think that what a pit bull isn't what a pit bull is, right? It's not necessarily what people think. So some of the most gentle dogs ever.
They're the most loyal breed of all. I firmly believe that the only dangerous breed are humans.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And beavers. I think beavers are dangerous.
Oh, they are. What?
Sorry.
Is that a joke? I mean, are they?
Yeah, well, actually, they are. If you trap a beaver, it's extremely dangerous. They
Wow.
can mess a person. Their tail and their teeth. Well, their teeth are for gnawing through wood, right? But a beaver's tail has like a concussive force to it. That's how they warn you away from them. They hit, and that's if they hit you with their tail, they'll break your bones. Just like Canadian geese with their wings, right? If you get hit by a Canadian goose in your arm is, sorry for my French, but fucked.
Oh, that's
yeah.
I knew that about geese, but I didn't know that about the beavers.
Yeah, if you trap a beaver, it's not good. But they're gentle animals otherwise, right? But don't trap a beaver. The things you learn in Saskatchewan, right?
Yeah. Do you snow up there? That's supposed to be a beautiful place to snow.
We're actually we got rid of our snow about 4 weeks ago. So
how was your winter? How was your winter?
8 months like normal, right? A typical Canadian winter. It's from September through May. so about normal, right? It's not bad. You grew up in Toronto, so you know how the winters are.
Yeah.
Well, you were 5 when you left, right? So
I was about 5, but I went back many years to visit my father and my aunt and uncle, and then I also went to Vancouver, right, to go see my Auntie Audrey and all my cousins, and I also made a TV series up there for Larry Cohen, my dear friend Larry Cohen. That was about 5 years ago.
Did you know that the Internet Movie Database, the thing where all your stuff is supposed to be, it only goes to 2005. That's crazy because you've had a lot of stuff after that. Like when you talk about Sky, the reason I'm not that well educated on you, Lauren, is because I'm using the Internet Movie Database and it's missing 15 years. I do apologize. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, that's all right. Do you have IMDb Pro? Because
I do not. I do not.
My movies, a lot of them are on IMDb Pro. You have to pay $189 a year for it, but it's worth it to be on it. I honestly don't go on it very often because what for?
Yeah. What's the point?
Yeah, I didn't know it only goes back to 2005. Is that new? Because it used to go back to 1980. I remember.
Well, it goes back to 1980. Goes back to your first all the marbles,
right?
And then talks about Molly. No, that's all the marbles, and and then doesn't talk about 100. Oh yeah, there it is, 83, 100, and then it goes to 2005. And past that, I have no information on you. I do apologize. I'm sorry about that. This is supposed to be the authority on actresses and actors, right? So I figured it'd be correct.
That's all right.
When you act, I have a question for every actor I talk to. We'll start off with the correct term. For you, is the correct term actor or actress? What do you prefer?
Actor. I don't. It doesn't matter. Idiot, fool. Whatever they call me, as long as I get hired, I show up. Actor's fine. People call us actors. I don't. It doesn't matter to me. Actor. It's all the same, really.
So when you act, what do you draw on? If that makes sense. I know it's a weird question, but
it depends upon the character. It depends upon the character, and I go places in my reverie. That I pick and choose when I read the script to see where in my reverie that I can relate to this scene, that scene, or this particular character. And thankfully, I've been able to go deep within my soul and bring out something that is relatable to the characters. And I love to play alcoholics because I am one. I'm a recovered alcoholic. I love playing irreverent, tragic, crazy, off-the-wall characters that are unhinged. Those are my favorite characters to play, unhinged. That's what I played recently in Nation's Fire opposite Bruce Stern. I played his wife, younger, alcoholic, psychotic, unhinged wife. And that's what I love playing in movies. Movies that have meat to them. Three-dimensional character roles are the roles that I love to play. I turned down a lot of roles, believe it or not, still at my age, but and I've been reading a lot of script during the quarantine, and there's only one script that I've read that I really, really love, and it's called Facade. And I'm doing another one called Clown Motel 2, but that's kind of a campy, kind of a campy film. But the movie Facade is much, much deeper and multi-layered, which is what I love.
That makes sense. You know, having a spirit to a performance. It's you do music as well. From what I'm reading, you wrote a rap music for the LA Metro. Is that correct?
Yes, I did for the
Transit Authority.
Yes, LACMTA, Los Angeles County Metro Transportation Authority. I wrote the lyrics for 13 commercials, actually.
Really?
13 commercials that were extrapolated into 5 commercials that were made into PSAs regarding light rail train safety. And they were a smash. I won the Telly Awards, Platinum, the Golden Globe Award. I won so many awards, just a lot of awards, Telly Awards. You name it, I won it. It was, for the PSAs, and I won the World Gold Medal out of 10,000 applicants. And I was up against Sony and up against BMW and the biggest of the biggest. And I won for my lyrics for the MTA. And I could not believe it that I won. I just couldn't believe it. But I love writing lyrics. So, it was about train safety.
Yep.
One of them was, the dangers. It's all about how precarious it is to be adjacent to the railroad tracks, any tracks. And one of them was, I'm trying to remember, it was quite some time ago, into the tunnel with our spray paint cans, add a little more graffiti. Yeah, we know it's banned. Looks like Tahiti. Lost our train of thought. 2 trains are coming. Nah, we won't get caught. Miscalculation ain't no saving grace. Can't erase, replace our tracks. Gonna something goodbye. Gonna get it bullseye. But that's what I remember. One of them. There were, like I said, there were 13, and they had 5 of them playing on television, and they were playing on every single railway station here across the country, really, or across California. Sorry, for a long time. Too bad I didn't get residuals for that, but it apparently saved a lot of lives.
That's awesome that you talked about being multidimensional in your roles. And I think that just shows you're multidimensional as the human you are. And a lot of people aren't, if that makes sense. A lot of people are just fake on the outside. And I think that shows a lot of the spirit you have. So as a 80s icon, where do you see your career going in the next 10 years? Because you still got about 10, 15 years in you, right? Where do you want to end up when it's all done?
Well, I have 3 movies that I'm going to be doing. One is called Facade. The other is called From China to China, with Thomas Churchill, who directed me in Nation's Fire. And the other one is called Together. And Together, I love. I love that script also, because it's about a woman who works with this man in his office, and she's very self-absorbed, won't give him the time of day, and they have to go on a plane trip together, and the plane crashes, and they hate each other's guts, and they're forced to cohabitate on the island, and they eventually, of course, fall in love. And Lou Rawls Jr.'s son plays my counterpart plays the lead role opposite me, and it's a wonderful, wonderful script. So I'm looking forward to that. And also because of the quarantine, I've been selling my clothes on Poshmark. So I know it's crazy, but I have so many gowns and so many clothes, 22 racks of clothes. And
Holy crap.
yeah, 22 racks of clothes. So, and gowns, because of this industry, you can only wear these damn dresses once or twice at the most. So, I've been on Poshmark and doing pretty well. I'm technologically impugned, obviously, as you saw today, but I'm having a wonderful time doing it, taking pictures of the clothes and writing up about the clothes and putting the clothes up online, and selling them. And I send out autograph photos to people that buy them. It's mostly 90% women. So it's a little side business to keep me occupied when I'm not reading scripts or walking my pit bulls, because we're essentially, under house arrest.
Yeah.
As you probably are, eh? Up there.
Yeah, the grocery stores are open and the liquor stores are open. That's about it. So,
well, what I'm most upset about is casinos, because I love going to gamble. I love going to Las Vegas, and lately, because of the quarantine, I've just been doing the curbside thing. I've been just going to the casino and dropping off my money and driving away. So
Lorraine,
that's a joke. I'm joking. No, Casino Morongo was open last week, and you had to wait an hour in your car in line outside, and the line was about a mile long, and the CHP officers were there driving back and forth, and I sat in my car. That's how sick I am, I guess, and everybody else. And so we sat in our cars and slowly pulled up toward the casino. And then you got to park, and then you had to wait another hour in line to get into Casino Morongo. So
that's crazy.
And there was supposed to be social distancing, but nobody was social distancing. They had plastic partitions up some places here and there, but and every other slot machine was blacked out, and the slot machine that I always win on was blacked out. So I was in abject terror, of course, because it's the only machine I go to, the only machine I can play 12 hours on and just keep going, without losing my life. And I just bring enough money that I can, lose the house with. No, just bring enough money to play. And that machine was blacked out. So I went to a couple of other machines, and I was losing pretty bad, but I sat down to this one machine and I hit a jackpot immediately. And I thought, wow, this is going to hit again and again. And well, it took all the money back and then some. So, pardon me. So I went to one more machine. I jumped off that machine finally, and I went to one more machine. I said, dear God, if I just win one little jackpot or anything, I promise you I will leave. And so I put in $100, and $70 went by or something like that. And then I hit not a jackpot. I hit $300. And so I got up and I cashed out the money, right? And I ran to the machine and cashed it out to prove to myself, I thanked God, of course, but to prove to myself that I'm not a gambling addict, right?
I get it. Laureen, normally my interviews only last between 15 and 20 minutes. We've went 34. I know Jimmy blocks out an hour for them just in case. So I want to thank you so much for being on. Before we end, where do people find you if they want to follow you on like Facebook or Instagram or anything like that? Are you on that type of stuff?
You can find me in county jail usually, but on a good day. I'm on I'm on Facebook. But I have 5,000 friends on Facebook, like you probably have 10 million. I have, so you can follow me, pardon me, on Instagram. I hardly go on. I go on Instagram now. I'm not on Twitter. I got suspended from Twitter because I followed somebody back who followed me. I followed them back, and it turned out that it was a virus, a terrible virus.
Oh.
I thought I would, be kind back. And so anyway, I got suspended because I followed this person, and I got the virus, and it was a terrible virus, blah, blah. So I've been suspended, and I don't care because I don't go on Twitter anyway. It's just, it's also silly, really. But if you want to get a hold of me, the best thing is to please follow me on Instagram, Lorene_Landon, or go to my IMDb page, please, and give it a like. Please check out all my movies, and check out Sky on Netflix, and Nation's Fire, which is on all platforms. So is Night Terrors, Terror Tales.
And that's Sky with an E, is that correct?
SKY, Sky, like the blue sky above.
Okay.
That's on Netflix.
There's one with an E that I've seen, so just want to make sure that.
Right. Yeah, that is. That's true. And let's see what else.
Oh.
So,
did you know? Here's one for you, Lorene.
Right.
As a Canadian, you should be very offended. You are not on Netflix in Canada.
Oh, I'm not on Netflix in Canada?
Apparently not. Not with Sky, anyway. You should be offended.
It's on here. It's on Sky. Sky is on Netflix here.
Okay. So everybody get one of those switchers for your ISP and get it in Canada too, so it looks like you're in the US. Lorene, I want to thank you for being on. The last question I always ask is, what's one thing you've done for yourself because of this COVID crap, for yourself, not for anybody else, to make yourself happy today?
To make myself happy today?
Yeah. Other than this interview, you can't say this interview because it's been mediocre at best. Let's face it.
You're so funny. It's been great. It's been wonderful. Best today. I've gotten closer to God in this COVID thing.
That's good.
I've gotten closer to God. I've always been close to God, but I've just been reading the Bible a lot more. I don't know. And spending a lot more time with my dogs. And today's Ron Russell's birthday. Ron is married to Jimmy Starr, and I wanted to wish Ron a happy birthday. I did a surprise video for him where I do Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend, but it's really Ronnie. Ronnie is a girl's best friend. It's insane. The video, he hasn't seen it yet. It's being edited right now as we speak. But I hope he has a wonderful birthday. And
I do too.
You know them, eh? You know,
he's actually the one that connected me with you. Jimmy is, and I hooked up with Jimmy about 3 weeks ago. So I met Jimmy online about 3 weeks ago because I wanted to do this show. The show's only about 4 weeks old, so I've had
congratulations! Wow.
Yeah, that's why I said beforehand it was a shitty little show.
It's not a shitty little show. So thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it, Jesse.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's been a delight.
Well, Lorene, to be honest, I'm just some little guy from Saskatchewan that's trying to make a difference. The goal is to have a conversation for the little old ladies and the little old men that are all locked up in their homes and stuff, right? To get them some family time. That's what I consider myself, family time to those people.
Bless your dear heart. Well, thank you, anybody who's going to hear this or see this. God bless you all. Stay safe and sanitary.
Wipe your hands and your butt.
Yeah, exactly. Wipe your ass. Okay. On that note,
On that note, Laureen, I'm going to say goodbye to you. I got another one coming up in about 6 minutes. So how we end the show is we just wave bye-bye, and I'll end the broadcast right now. I'll keep you on for 15 seconds. Don't click nothing.